From markets and currencies to people and politics, everything today affects investment outcomes. If you cannot make the connection, you cannot make the money. We are one of Africa's and Ghana's largest fund managers. Stanbic Investment Management Services provides world-class money management services to individuals, institutional pensions, and group funds. Sign up today for the Stanbic Cash Trust or the Stanbic Income Fund and experience diversified and flexible investment solutions. Managed by your investment specialists. Stanbic Investment Management Services is licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and registered with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the 9th Annual General Meeting of the Stanbic Cash Trust, which I now declare open. I now call upon the Secretary to read the notice of the meeting.
Notice is hereby given that the 11th Annual General Meeting, AGM, of the unit holders of Stanbic Cash Trust, the Fund, will be held virtually on Wednesday, July 3, 2024 at 12 noon and shall be streamed live to all unit holders from Stanbic Business Incubator, Silver Star Tower, Airport City, Accra, for the transaction of the following business. 1. To receive the report of the manager of the fund for the year ended December 31, 2023. 2. To consider the trustees' reports and the reports of the auditors for the year ended December 31, 2023. 3. To receive and adopt the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2023, and to authorize the manager to fix the remuneration of the auditors, dated May 31, 2024. By order of the manager, Stanbic Investment Management Services Limited, on behalf of the trustee, Universal Merchants Bank Limited. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. A.C. Amwa. The first item on the agenda is to receive the report of the manager of the fund for the year ended December 31, 2023. I call upon Ms. Wendy Opoku to read the report of the manager to unit holders.
I am pleased to welcome you to the 2023 Annual General Meeting of the Stanbic Cash Trust. So for the economic outturn, global growth was subdued, plagued by the heightened geopolitical conflict in the Middle East and a restrictive credit environment. Global inflation retreated from its 2022 peak, which was helped by tighter global monetary conditions and a favorable base drift effect in 2023. The financial markets also deteriorated, undermined by eroded fiscal buffers, rising sovereign bond yields, volatile equity markets, and higher borrowing costs. The Ghanaian economy recorded a recovery, evidenced by year-on-year GDP growth of 2.9%, compared with a revised target of 2.3%. Headline inflation fell sharply from 54.1% in December 2022 to 23.2% as of December 2023. The cool-off was induced by the drop in food and non-food inflation, a stable cedi, a favorable base effect pool, and the central bank's restrictive policy stance. The central bank paused its monetary policy rate hike at 30% since the second half year 2023 to curtail inflation while increasing the cash reserve ratio to 15% on domestic and foreign currency deposits to reduce the money supply. The cedi was relatively stable for 2023, with a cumulative depreciation of 27.81% for December 2023, compared to a year-end loss of 30% for 2022. The stable performance stemmed from an improved gross international cover to 2.7 months as of December 2023, thanks to a receipt of $600 million from IMF and a $541 million cocoa syndicated loan, a positive trade balance coupled with a freeze in foreign debt payments as debt restructuring negotiations progressed. The Bank of Ghana likewise increased its market intervention through the domestic gold purchase program, bi-liquid PDC forex auctions, and hard currency purchases from mining companies' export proceeds. The government completed its first economic review under the IMF $3 billion enhanced credit facility to unlock a second tranche worth $600 million subject to a formal debt negotiation agreement from bilateral creditors. Additionally, discussions with Eurobond investors, holding approximately $13 billion worth of Ghana's bonds, remained inconclusive as of December 2023. The stock market maintained a positive rally, up by 28.08% at the close of the 2023 reporting period, bolstered by capital gains in dividend-paying non-financial stocks. However, the financial stock index remained red at an index level of 1,901.57 points, translating to a year-end loss of negative 7.36%. Market capitalization rose by 14.55% year-on-year, driven by rallies in MTN Ghana, Total Energies, Societe Generale, and Benzo Oil Palm Plantation. Trade activity was, however, subdued, as volume traded decreased by 56.59% year-on-year to 579.68 billion shares, while value slumped by 50.1% year-on-year to 818.2 million Ghana cedis. Trade activity on the Ghana fixed income market was lackluster, despite the completion of the domestic debt exchange program. Investor interest remained skewed towards short-term securities, as ongoing external debt restructuring discussions remained a market overhang. Yields on the government treasury bills for 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day ended December 2023 at 29.24%, 31.88%, and 32.49% respectively, underpinned by increased uptake from local investors seeking higher yields. The newly minted DDP bonds remained less attractive to investors, given the low coupon rates of 8% to 15%. For the fund's investments and performance, for the year 2023, the Stanbic Cash Trust assets under management grew by 2.4% compared to the previous year to 430.3 million Ghana cedis. For the portfolio asset mix, the fund ended 2023 with total assets under management of 430 million Ghana cedis, split between 248.7 million Ghana cedis for the main class and 881.6 million Ghana cedis for the subclass. The fund had about 51% of its assets in bonds, 35% in money market securities, and 14% in cash and near cash. The graph below shows the fund's asset allocation for both the main class and the subclass as of December 31st, 2023. And on the fund's returns, the fund's 2023 mark-to-market return was negative 15.7% for the main class and 18.7% for the subclass, with a benchmark return of 33.5%. The fund's underperformance is attributed to higher yields on treasury bills outpacing returns from the new bonds held by the fund, large withdrawal amounts during the period, and the significant impact of the economic crisis on capital markets. On the domestic debt exchange program and its impact on the fund. The domestic debt exchange program was launched by Government of Ghana in December 2022 as part of the conditions required to receive support from IMF. It was an invitation to eligible bondholders, holders of ESLA, Dachi, and Government of Ghana bonds to exchange their bonds for a set of new bonds with varied terms. Collective investment schemes, which formed part of Category A bondholders, were offered bonds with maturity dates in 2027 and 2028 at a coupon rate of 10%. Relief measures offered to eligible bondholders included potential access to a liquidity support fund. In consultation with the trustee, the fund participated in the program to gain access to the Ghana Financial Stability Fund when fully established and liquidity on the secondary market. The DDP was concluded on February 21, 2023, and the main class of SCT received a total of 319.9 million Ghana cedis in new bonds at a coupon rate of 10%. SCT's participation in the DDP has limited the fund's cash flows and negatively impacted the ability to meet unit holders' liquidity needs as and when. A rebound in the secondary market activity for the new bonds is expected to improve the fund's liquidity. SCT will continue to apply the mark-to-market valuation methodology in the valuation of the fund. For the outlook into the new year, looking into 2024, global growth will remain weak, reflecting a tepid recovery in advanced economies. A reversal in the monetary policy tightening is expected in the second half of the year as inflation pressures recede. Tighter financial conditions would weigh on economic growth and corporate profits as real borrowing costs remain elevated. Energy prices could resume an upward trend, bolstered by escalations in the Middle East tensions, potentially impacting supply chains and adversely affecting inflation. Gold prices should sustain an upward trend on ongoing geopolitical risk and uncertainties with global elections, with 64 countries heading to the polls this year. Ghana's economic fortunes should improve on the back of sustained fiscal discipline due to the ongoing IMF program. The successful 2-year debt moratorium with bilateral debt creditors worth $5.4 billion unlocked additional funding worth $1.15 billion from the International Monetary Fund and World Bank in Q1 2024. The improved gross international reserves position should strengthen the Bank of Ghana's supply-side interventions and stabilize the Ghanaian cedi. Ghana's consumer price inflation should sustain its downward streak, aided by tighter fiscal and monetary conditions and supported by a stable cedi. Spillovers from global headwinds in curbing inflation, higher oil prices due to an escalation of the Middle East tensions, and spending from presidential and parliamentary elections could disrupt Ghana's recovery path. The stock market should sustain a positive rally as investors take positions in quality stocks trading below intrinsic value. Improved financials from listed companies should increase investor interest before the full year 2023 dividend announcements. We expect some profit taken in selected non-financial stocks that recorded substantial gains in full year 2023. The imminent 2024 presidential and parliamentary election could be an overhang on stock market performance as foreign investors take a laissez-faire stance. On the Ghana fixed income markets, we expect yields to remain elevated on the front end of the yield curve. We expect secondary market activity to increase as Ghana concludes negotiations on the external debt restructuring program. Ghana's improving economic environment presents pockets of opportunity for investors across diverse financial assets. The current higher yield environment makes fixed income securities more attractive to investors. However, it is essential to remain mindful of potential headwinds that may arise due to delays in the completion of the external debt restructuring and elevated inflationary pressures. Going on to the fund strategy. Our fund strategy remains conservative in 2024. It focuses on investing in high-quality money market securities to enhance liquidity while providing stability amidst market uncertainties. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Opoku. The next item on the agenda is to consider the trustees' report. I now call upon Mr. Eric Ejeyeboah to read the trustees' report for the year ended December 31, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Report of the trustees to the unit holders of Stanbic Cash Trust Fund. In our opinion, according to the information made available to us and the explanation provided, we confirm that in all material respects, the manager has managed the scheme during the period covered by this financial statement, in accordance with the trust deed dated 16th day of November 2011 and all regulations for the time being in force, under the Securities Industry Act 2016 at 929 and the Unit Trust and Mutual Funds Regulations 2001, LI 1695. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ejeyeboah. I will now ask the auditor, Baker Tilly Under and Under, to read their report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Report of the independent auditor to the unit holders of Stanbic Cash Trust Fund. Opinion. We have audited the financial statements of Stanbic Cash Trust, which comprise the statements of assets and liabilities as at 31st December 2023, income and distribution accounts,
portfolio statement, and the capital account for the year then ended. Note forming part of the financial statement, which include a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes as set out on pages 23 to 31. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement presents fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the fund as at 31st December 2023 and its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and in the manner required by the Security Industry Act 2016, Act 929, the Unit Trust and Mutual Fund Regulations 2001, LI 1695, and the Trust Deed dated 6 November 2011. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audits in accordance with international standards on auditing, ISAS. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the fund in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standard, the Code, issued by the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, and we have fulfilled our ethical responsibilities in accordance with the Code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our opinion, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. They are matters to be addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole, and informing our opinion thereon. We do not provide a separate opinion on those matters. There were no material key audit matters to report on. Other information. The manager is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but does not include the financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. Our opinion on the financial statement does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read other information and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements or our knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If, based on the work that we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this other information, then we are required to report that fact. We have nothing to report in this regard. Responsibilities of the manager for the financial statements. The manager is responsible for preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and in the manner required by the Security Industry Act 2016, Act 929, the Unit Trust and Mutual Fund Regulation 2001, LI 1695, and the Trust Deed dated 16th November 2011. And for such internal controls as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, the manager is responsible for assessing the fund's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing, as applicable, matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting, unless the trustees either intend to liquidate the fund or to cease operation, or to have no realistic alternative but to do so. The manager is responsible for overseeing the fund's financial reporting process. Auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements. The objectives of our audits are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an audit report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it's not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAS will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatement can arise when fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with ISAS, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the planning and performance of the audit. We also identify and assess the risks of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and we obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than one resulting from error, as fraud involves collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. Conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the fund's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statement, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the fund to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation structure and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transaction and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. We are required to communicate with the manager and the trustees regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audits and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal controls that we identify during our audit. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. Compliance with the requirements of Part 9 of Schedule 8 of the Unit Trust and Mutual Fund Regulation 2001, LI 1695, we confirm that we have obtained all information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of the audit. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the fund so far as appears from the examination of those books. The fund financial statements are in agreement with the books of accounts. In our opinion, the fund generally complied with the relevant provisions of the Security Industry Act 2016 at 929. The engagement partner on the audits resulting in this independent auditor's report is Samuel Abia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avonyo. I will now call on Ms. Paulina Okine to present the highlights of the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I present the financial highlights for the Stanbic Cash Trust for the year ended 2023. The fund outperformed its benchmark rates until the sovereign default in 2022, which necessitated the domestic debt restructuring. In order to respond to customer needs for viable alternate asset classes, SIMS introduced the subclass and the latter part of 2022. The returns of the subclass, though lagging behind the benchmark rate, has seen steady growth and ended 2023 with returns of 18.7. On the other hand, the returns on the main class dropped significantly from 19.6% to a negative return of 15.7, trailing the benchmark rate of 33.5. The negative return was as a result of the mark-to-market losses on the Government of Ghana instruments held by the fund. The bar chart at the bottom of the page indicates the movements in the fund prices. The price of the main fund recorded a decrease from 5.76 to 4.94 in alignment to the decreasing returns on their fund. Due to the good positioning and selection of assets of the subclass increased from 5.98 to 7.1, an 18% increase in price. This outturn is leading to a pickup in customer interest, and on the total fund level, the average fund price dropped from 5.74 to 5.65. Referencing page 29 of the audited financials, it can be noted that in 2022, total assets was heavily concentrated in Government of Ghana securities with a 92% allocation and 7% in money market instruments with a difference in cash and near cash. Moving into 2023, the growth of the subclass diluted the asset allocations with Government of Ghana allocations moving from a 92% to 50% in 2023 and money market allocations advancing from a 7% to 49%. The subclass introduced at the end of 2022 continues to invest in money market securities to enhance liquidity whilst providing stability amidst market uncertainties. The total net assets improved marginally from 420 million to 430 million, a 2% increase. The significant growth in the subclass was watered down by withdrawals leading to a marginal growth in total assets. This will be explained further on the next slide. In spite of the gradual pickup in client activities in 2023, the levels have been the lowest we have recorded in the past years. The number of units issued decreased by 52% from 113 to 54 in 2023, whilst the number of units redeemed decreased from 167 to 51, a 69% decline. Value of units issued decreased by 49% from 604 million cedis to 356 million cedis, and the value of units redeemed also dropped by 65% from 903 million in prior year to 318 in 2023. It is worth noting, however, that despite the year-on-year decline in the numbers in both the value and units, the issuance have exceeded the redemption, and this is as a result of the active sales and marketing drive on the subclass, which is gradually winning back customer confidence. On page 18 of the audited financials is the income performance. Total income declined from 91 million in 2022 to a loss of 15 million in 2023. The drop was due to mark-to-market loss of 80 million on the Government of Ghana bonds held by the fund. The fund expenses also dropped by 27% from 15.9 million to 11.6, as the management fees and trustee fees also slowed down in line with the performance of the fund. The above resulted to a net loss of 25.8 million compared to prior profit of 75 million. It is important to note, however, that the mark-to-market losses only relate to the main class and not the subclass. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Okai. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the Fund Manager's Report for adoption. I now call on Ms. Esiamwa to take us through the comments and voting process on the motions put forward.
Steps to comment or ask questions. To second the motion, send a comment or question. Kindly locate the chat box at the right or bottom side of your screen. Type and submit your comments and questions. How to cast your vote. We have provided 2 options to enable you partake in the voting exercise in real time. To vote via the online platform, kindly locate the vote box on the bottom of your broadcast screen and follow these steps. Enter the unique token number used to join the meeting. Click Cast Your Vote. Once you have done this, you will see a list of resolutions to be voted for. Follow the voting process by clicking the plus sign, then select your voting option. To vote via shortcode, dial *899*3# on your phone. Enter the unique code used in joining the meeting. Once you have done this, you can now select your vote option and send. You cannot vote once the chairperson closes the vote. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, there's a question for the fund manager. The question is from Enokni Oku Oakley. The question says, is the debt exchange program affecting our investment in Stanbic Cash Trust?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, just to recap in terms of the debt exchange, this is part of the debt restructuring that the government undertook last year. Now, as part of the debt restructuring, the old bonds that we held in the fund had to be exchanged for new bonds. That activity or event has been done, and currently the fund holds the new bonds, which is still running, and the government has started paying coupons on it. The first coupon was received in February this year, and the second coupon is also going to be paid in August. Now, what is currently happening is that when you want to sell these new bonds so that you can realize your cash, that's where the issue is. Now, there's limited liquidity or limited ability to sell the bonds. And when you have the opportunity to sell the bonds, the price or what you will obtain from selling the bonds is low, leading to losses. Currently, when you sell for every 100, you're likely to get between 50 and 60 for every 100 that you sell. And that's where the losses crystallizes if you want to withdraw from your fund. So in terms of the debt exchange, that program is done with to support the government to restructure its debt and obtain the bailout from IMF. But the implications of what has happened is what we're going through now, which is not making it favorable for our clients to redeem their investments at a good value when they want to exit the fund. Thank you.
So just that there's a follow-up. I don't know if that's been addressed, but just to put it out there, when will the new bonds mature? And does it mean you can make withdrawals without being deducted once they mature?
So the new bonds will mature in two parts. We have the first part, which is 50% of what we are holding maturing in 2027, and the next 50% maturing in 2028. Anytime you put in a request to withdraw, we will have to sell a part of these bonds to realize cash and pay you out. So for each withdrawal, it would depend on the current market price of the bonds at which the sale is done. If the sales are done at a time where the economy has recovered and we have better or lower interest rates and lower inflation, it's most likely that the losses will be minimal. But currently, we still have or face the limited sale at very low prices, which will lead to the losses one will experience when they want to withdraw from the fund. Thank you.
There was a question from Benjamin Quarte. However, I believe Mr. Boama covered it. It was why the deductions on withdrawals were so significant, but he had covered it in his earlier submission. Just to let those online know that if there are any other comments or questions, they can continue to put them in the chat box. If it's not to do with the fund manager's report directly and it's to do with some admin matters in terms of their investments, the team will respond in the chat box. So all questions and comments will be addressed, even if not done so here. The other question now is, will any new investment be affected by DDEP and or affected by mark-to-market valuation? That's from Alex Akufu Otopa.
Ms. Opoku would answer that.
Okay, so all new and current investments since 2022 are not being affected by the local debt exchange program. This is because we have ring-fenced all new deposits, and all these new deposits go into our subclass, which is another class of the same cash trust fund. So when you bring in a new deposit, we put it in the subclass, which has no government exposure, and therefore it is not marked to market. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Okay. I hereby move that the fund manager's report for the year ended December 31, 2023, and submitted for the meeting be and is hereby received and adopted. Would someone please second this motion? To second, kindly go to the chat box, type your full name, and then type seconded.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, sorry, Mr. Philip Akoto seconds. Afeti Kotu seconds the motion.
Thank you. Motion seconded. Are there any more questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Madam Chair, there are no further questions.
Thank you. I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the fund manager's report for the year ending 2023. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, at the end of voting, 50 persons voted for the motion. No one voted against the motion, and 2 persons abstained from the motion. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. I hereby move that the trustees' report for the year ended 2023 and submitted to the meeting be and is hereby received and adopted. Would someone please second this motion?
Madam Chair, Stella Nana Osei Tutu seconds the motion.
Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Madam Chair, there are no questions.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the trustees' report for the year ended 2023. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, at the end of voting, 45 people voted for the motion, No one voted against the motion, and 4 people abstained from the motion. Thank you.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. I hereby move that the statements of assets and liabilities accounts as of December 31, 2023, together with the income and distribution accounts and the auditor's report thereon for the year ended on that date and submitted to the meeting, be and are hereby received and adopted. Would someone please second this motion?
Madam Chairman, Achin Aban Maxwell seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the financial statements report for the year ended 2023. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, at the end of voting, 49 people voted for the motion, 1 person voted against the motion, and 2 people abstained from the motion. Sorry.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to fix the remuneration of the auditors Baker, Tilly, Under and Under in respect of the year ending December 31, 2024. In line with best practice, and as mentioned at last year's AGM, I hereby take this opportunity to move that the manager be and is hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditor for the year ending December 31, 2024. Would someone please second this motion?
Ms. Preciosa Noella Dansa seconds the motion.
Thank you. Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
No questions, please.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to fix the remuneration of the auditors for the year ending 2024. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, at the end of voting, 39 people voted for the motion, 4 people voted against the motion, and 10 people abstained from the motion.
Thank you. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of SIMS...
Madam Chair, sorry, there was a general question not to do with the motion. So before we close the AGM, there's a question I believe is for Mr. Boama, and it's asking about, well, now there are 2 questions. So the first one is from Benjamin Coulter. He's saying, when do you think the economy will recover, per your expertise? And then there's a second question perhaps for yourself. Can I move my funds to the subclass without deductions? Sorry.
Maybe let's Opoku start and then the second.
Okay, so unfortunately, withdrawing from the main class to the subclass would still be processed at the mark-to-market price. And this price will be determined by the price that we get when we go on the market and sell the bonds in order to fund the liquidity for that withdrawal. So even though you can move your funds from the subclass, from the main class to the subclass, it would still be processed at the mark-to-market price. And this may incur some losses depending on the price that it is processed at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poku. And I think the question on the economy too, Mr. Boama.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a difficult one to answer since we don't have a crystal magic ball to look into. We can only look at some indicators and have expectations of when things will become better. One indicator is inflation trends and interest rate trends. Currently, we've seen inflation drop from 25.8 to 23.1, which is a good sign. The overall projection is that inflation is likely to continue to drop till year end. Interest rates also have been dropping from the beginning of the year, and we anticipate that this will continue or be stable. Now, once you have these indicators trending downwards, it's an indication of a recovery. But as to when exactly the recovery will occur, no one can tell until the relevant macroeconomic indicators actually happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boama. Are there any other questions? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of SIMS, the manager for the Stanbic Cash Trust, I would like to thank you for your continued interest in the fund's affairs and for attending this meeting. I hereby declare the meeting formally closed. Thank you.
I found a new job and it's doing very well. And all I'm doing is saving to build a house.
You don't save to build a house. You invest to build a house. That is why I want to take you to my financial advisor.